to know why they were towing a police helmet, a police boot, and a banner inscribed, "Hello, hello, hello." DL had taken the precaution of booking in at Auburn's main hotel, the Lady Hamilton. The evening meal was as good as had been promised, and afterwards in the bar, just to add a little spice to the evening, there was a scene. A tall blonde girl, who had caught DL's attention because she wore a plunging dress, without showing the slightest evidence that she had breasts, punched one of her two male companions on the nose. It was a good blow, and drove the recipient backwards over his bar stool. DL grinned with delight. The girl picked up a bag and walked away. DL stood up and opened the door for her. "Well done, lass," he said. "I really enjoyed that." "Did you?" she said. "Let me double the pleasure." The blow drove him backwards onto his table. "Jesus," he said, feeling his nose. He glowered around the room, defying anyone to be amused, but most eyes were focused on the bar. The flawed young man was bleeding, but looked more puzzled than pained. He was in his early 20s, fair-haired, tall, athletically slim. His companion was of an age, but far too stout for someone so young. "Charlie," he said, "you really ought to buy all these people a drink." "You buy them a drink," said Charlie. "She's your bloody sister." Someone came through the door behind DL. "What seems to be the trouble?" said a voice in his ear. He turned and looked at a middle-aged man wearing an old pinstripe suit. "I was in the restaurant. One of the waiters said something about a fracas." "Did he?" said DL. "I saw nowt." He turned and left, pleased for once in his life to have been a sufferer of, rather than from, witness blindness. No one but a sadist or a newspaper reporter would have let a rumour of a fight drag him out of the Lady Hamilton's dining room, and DL had no wish to start his holiday as a comic paragraph in some local paper. Come to think of it, he had pretty little wish to start his holiday at all. It was the time away from work, the time he spent by himself, which he feared most. Tomorrow, however, he would set off to explore the highways and byways of the Lincolnshire countryside. Meanwhile, he poured himself a scotch and climbed into bed. He placed his reading spectacles on his still-throbbing nose and picked up his book. It was Bulwer Lytton's Last Days of Pompey, which he had stolen from the hotel where he spent his honeymoon, and had been reading off and on for 30 years. The countryside was brimming. DL's morning paper had talked of serious flooding in some parts of the country, and more frequently he encountered troughs of brown water. He stopped because the next looked suspiciously deep. A hump-backed bridge rose over the stream, which, running parallel to the road he had been following, was the source of most of the overspill. But now it was a bridge to nowhere. The stream had broken its banks, and the bridge descended into water. DL got out and looked at a signpost. Another mile in this direction lay Highfold, while in better weather the bridge might have led him to Lowfold. He gazed out over the flooded fields. The rain had stopped, and curls of mist were beginning to form Art Nouveau designs in the more regular patterns of trees and hedgerow. Patches of high ground rose serenely from the floods. On one of these there was a house to which design and distance gave the outline of a storybook castle. DL peered down, and it seemed as if the brown depths were full of dead things. Leaves and branches drifting on the surface were all he could see. A noise made him look up. A long, creaking noise followed by a gentle splash. Through the haze glided a rowing boat. The oarsman had the look of an old countryman, weathered and fit, anything between 50 and 100. In the bows sat another old man of about 70, but it was the woman who held DL's eye. She was clad all in black, even to a black veil over her face. So riveting was the tableau in the boat that DL did not instantly take in the most macabre detail of all. The rowing boat was towing a small flat-bottomed boat. On it was a coffin. Another craft emerged through the mist, a large punt, the kind once used in duck shooting, with a stovepipe gun mounted in the bows. There were 6 people in the punt, and water slopped over the sides with each inexpert thrust of the pole by the punter.